Thank you for everybody getting here early today for our meeting to maybe be our last state and local government committee meeting. Thank you all. If you're looking back at the clock and you feel like time's standing still, it is. So look at your cell phone. The clock doesn't work on the back of the wall. Yeah, we're on government time. All righty, folks. Thank you again for being here. And Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Elkins. Present. Senator Harper Angel. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Senator Storm. Senator Thayer. Senator Wheeler. Senator Williams. Senator Nemus.
Present.
Senator Mills.
I'm here, and we do have a quorum. We're duly constituted to do the business before us today. So, folks, we have 5 or 6 bills here that we'd like to rapidly move through this. So, the first item is going to be House Bill 40, which is Representative McCool. And as he's making his way to the desk, we want to welcome him back and tell him we're glad that he's doing better. And Representative McCool has a bill related to water and wastewater systems. So, Representative, if you can introduce yourself and your guest, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for this opportunity. Bobby McCool, State Representative, 97th District.
My name is Larry Taylor. I'm with the Office of Legislative Affairs with the Energy Environment Cabinet.
Very good. Welcome.
Proceed.
Yes, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for this opportunity to present this bill. This bill is it's a very good bill, especially with the budgetary items we brought forth this session with water and wastewater. It really combines two boards to make them more efficient, and also asks for voluntary certification. So it's a process for improvement to ensure that water and wastewater treatment is very important throughout the state of Kentucky. As we know, that is a health issue, and we want to make sure that we continue those efforts. And I'd like to turn it over to Larry for a few comments, if that's okay.
Well, thank you. So this bill in particular, it combines 2 boards that currently exist, makes it more efficient. Both those boards currently meet on the same day, have some of the same members, so this will combine those to make them into one combined board. It also, as the representative had mentioned, it provides for a voluntary certification for management and supervisors of systems. So it gives them another opportunity to advance. And then most importantly, it provides input from the board as well as an advisory committee that the Division of Water has to provide input on how we can recruit more operators to try to get more people involved in this industry.
Motion on the bill.
We have a motion from Senator Wheeler, a second from Senator Thayer. Did you make? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions from our experts before us today? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Senator Nemus.
Aye.
Senator Storm. Senator Thayer.
Aye.
Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Senator Williams. Senator Mills.
I vote aye. House Bill 40 passes with the count of 9-0.
Motion for consent. Second.
We have a motion for consent from Senator Wheeler, a second from Senator Thayer for consent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This item moves to our consent agenda. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Is Representative Fleming in? Oh, there he is, yes. Okay, the next item is House Bill 147, which is Representative Fleming's bill. Welcome, Representative. If you can introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to present House Bill 147. I would like to take a personal privilege, if you don't mind, to thank Leader Thayer for his service throughout these years. And I know he's going off to wonderful things, but I do want to express my appreciation and work with a relationship with him. It's the last time I'll probably be in front of you, but I just want to say thank you very much for your service and your leadership and helping Kentucky in a better place. So after that, I just wanted to let you know about House Bill 147. Basically, it's to require a vote on property tax levy to be delayed until all statutory requirements are met to levy the tax, regardless of whether it's in the same year or not. According to the Kentucky Supreme Court, there was a case that basically came up and out of the Jefferson County public school systems that they didn't have enough time in order to get things in order to put a levy to the vote, and so they had to go forward in doing that. So this basically clarifies the language based on the Supreme Court. So we want to make sure that this is clarify that there is enough time that all the statutory requirements are met before the tax levy is put forth, and to make sure people do have the opportunity to vote on it, to reject it, or to approve
Motion.
that tax levy.
Second.
We have a motion from Senator Nemus, a second from Senator Wheeler. Any questions from Representative Fleming? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Elkins,
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemus,
Aye.
Senator Storm, Senator Thayer, Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Williams, Senator Mills.
I vote aye, and House Bill 147 passes with favorable expression, 8-1. Congratulations, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Next item is House Bill 354, Representative Johnson's bill, as he makes his way up. Representative, if you can introduce yourselves for the record, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. D.J. Johnson, State Representative, 13th District, Davis County. And before I start, I just want to echo Representative Fleming's comments. Senator Thayer, it's been an honor, sir. I just realized this is the last time we're going to do this, so it has been an honor. So, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'll briefly discuss House Bill 354. I will summarize in the interest of time, but I'll be glad to answer any questions anyone might have. House Bill 354 is legislation that supports retired Tier 1 hazardous duty employees who desire to continue serving their community by working as an aide or a helper in their local school district. I want to emphasize that this involves Tier 1 hazardous duty employees only, retirees. Unfortunately, through a combination of statute changes in 2008 and subsequent administrative decisions by the Kentucky Department of Education and some of the local school districts, these public servants are actually being financially penalized for wanting to help in their schools. House Bill 354 corrects this situation. It does impact KDE, and KDE is not opposed to this legislation. To briefly explain, Tier 1 hazardous duty employees have earned through the years, through their careers over decades, certain health care benefits. One of those health care benefits is that they and their families are covered in the health care system. But when they want to come back and work in the education system, in the school systems, the schools at this point require that a school employee have the Department of Education's health care plan. Now, these are the exact same health care plans, exact same benefits, but the difference is how the benefits are paid for. Currently, as a Tier 1 hazardous duty employee, the hazardous duty system pays for their benefits. If they go into the education system and are forced to use the education system's program, they actually have to pay out of their pocket as much as $700 to $750 a month for the opportunity to continue serving their community. House Bill 354 corrects this. It takes care of who's going to be paying for their benefits. There is always a fiscal concern. I will tell you that the maximum that we've seen is with the number of people involved with this, it's about 150 to 175 people. The maximum cost to KDE is about $200,000, but depending on what individuals with what plans decide to go back into the school systems, it could be revenue neutral.
Motion on the bill.
We have a motion from Senator Wheeler, a second from Senator Nemus. Senator McDaniel has a question, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, so just to be clear, what in essence what would be happening then is the district that hired the individual into the school would then pay for their health insurance benefit rather than the individual paying for that health insurance benefit. Is that what's going on?
That's
in
correct,
essence?
and they would be reimbursed by KDE.
And they would be reimbursed by KDE.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Did you, Representative, was there a actuarial study on that showed no effect? Is that correct?
There was an actual analysis. The initial analysis was a little bit off as far as the potential impact. And when we went back and presented that the number of people that actually would be involved in this would be between 150 to 200 at this time, it went from a fairly high number to that $200,000 maximum number that I mentioned.
Okay.
And again, it's pretty complicated. It depends on who with what system decides they want to take advantage of it as to what the actual cost is. But maximum impact we anticipate is $200,000.
And this bill has been through PPOB and been vetted, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Elkins,
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemus,
Aye.
Senator Storm, Senator Thayer, Senator Wheeler, Senator Williams, Senator Mills.
I vote aye. House Bill 354 passes with favorable expression 9-0.
Second.
We have a motion from Senator Thayer for consent, a second from Senator Nemus. All in favor for consent, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, this passes to our consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr.
Congratulations.
Chairman. Thank you, committee members.
All right, next is House Bill 657. Representative Bridges, there he is. Welcome, Chairman Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
If you can introduce yourself to the record, then the floor is yours.
Representative Randy Bridges from the 3rd District. Appreciate you, Mr. Chair, for hearing this bill and all the committee members. What we've got is House Bill 657. It is transfer of land. And what we've got is in communities that have planning and zoning, they're required to file a plat when a property is subdivided. What we've ran into down in western Kentucky in the rural areas and everything, counties that do not have planning and zoning, KRS 100 does not apply, so they're not required to file that plat. And I deal with a lot of farms and things like that, elderly people, and I've had this happen on 2 different estates where they failed to file a plat from a previous subdivision, and then the family, upon settling the estate, has to pay for another expensive survey. And what this will do is it will require, when you have a piece of property surveyed off a section of land, the surveyor will supply you with a plat. It just says you got to file it. And it just makes it a lot easier, and I see it as a consumer protection, and the filing fee usually around $25, and it falls in line.
Second.
We have a motion from Senator Thayer, a second from Senator Nemus. Any questions for Representative Bridges on this? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Elkins,
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemus,
Aye.
Senator Storm, Senator Thayer, Senator Wheeler, Senator Williams, Senator Mills.
I vote aye. House Bill 657 passes with favorable expression 9-0. We have a motion for consent from Senator Thayer, a second from Senator Elkins. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This matter moves to our consent agenda. All right, our next bill is going to go pretty quick because the presenter's sitting right there. So it's Representative Bridges' bill, and he has a guest coming up. This is House Bill 779. Representative, if you
Thank
want to
you.
introduce yourself and your guests, please.
Again, I'm Representative Randy Bridges from the 3rd District, and I have with me Karen. I'll let her introduce herself.
I'm Karen Sellers, Executive Director of the State Board of Elections.
Welcome, Ms. Sellers. The floor is yours.
I'm going to read exactly from the description because it just nails it on the head. This updates terminology for precinct boundaries from a physical map to a digital map. What has been happening is the precincts, when they have new boundaries, it's in digital form. They print it off, send it to the elections department, and then they have to take that paper map and turn it back into a digital map. So it gets it down to an email. And I believe they did this past year. It worked out good. But just the technicalities of statutory, we want to clear up some language.
Okay. Ms. Sellers, do you have anything to add?
I was just going to say that, excuse me, we had reapportionment this year, and all of the 120 counties worked with their ad districts, and we were able to get complete digital mapping, which again we pass along to LRC as well. And so in our office now we have digital maps of every county, all precincts. We also have hired a GIS person that has helped us to be able to get paper maps to counties as well. And we are already doing this, so I think it's a very positive move for Kentucky to get all of this digital. So
Okay. We have a motion from Senator Thayer, second from Senator Nemus. Any questions for our guest? All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Elkins,
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemus,
Aye.
Senator Storm, Senator Thayer, Senator Wheeler, Senator Williams, Senator Mills.
I vote aye. House Bill 779 passes with favorable expression 9-0.
Motion for consent.
We have a motion and a second for consent. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This matter moves to consent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you.
Congratulations, Representative.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up is House Bill 829, which is Representative Nemus's bill. And Senator West may be joining him. Yes.
He is, yes, thank you.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And we have a little bit of time to, if you need to explain this. So the floor, if you can introduce yourselves, and the floor is yours.
Jason Nemus, State Representative for the House District 33, which is Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby counties.
And, pardon, we do have a committee sub.
Motion on
We have a motion from
Second.
Senator Nemus, a second from Senator Wheeler on the committee sub. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The sub is adopted. Senator West.
Steve West, District 27.
Very good. Wanted to get that in before y'all started talking, so I know it's hard to stop you. All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I start, I want to take just a quick moment of personal privilege to say this is the last time I'll be appearing in a committee before Leader Thayer. It's been a great opportunity to learn from and work with Leader Thayer. Very much appreciate his support on the medical marijuana bill in the end, as he understood it was a nice bill that would help people. This bill, if you like that one, you'll like this one even more, Mr. Leader. we shall see. I'm trying to hunt a vote right now as I sit here, Mr. Chairman. All right, so what does this bill do? What it does is it says that in the House version we put a pharmacist situation in where the patient would have to go see a pharmacist. What the Senate version does, it puts the pharmacist on the board of pharmacy that's confirmed by the Senate. It does not require, as the Senate's version that you passed last year didn't, the pharmacist to be met with on a annual basis. Number one. Number two, a commitment that I made last year when we passed the bill was that we were going to come back and put a provision in it that allows schools to opt out. And so schools can opt out if they don't want to be involved in this. If they do want to be involved in it, then it requires them to put a process in place to see who will administer the medication. If it's going to be a school nurse, or if it's going to require the parent. So the schools will have to have a process in place to administer the medication if the school does not opt out of the program altogether. I want to note, third, that there are no condition expansions in this bill. This is an amendment from the version that had been filed in the Senate and that the governor also had wanted. And the thought there is, if there needs to be condition expansions over time, that'll be good, but it needs to come with the science. And right now, before the program even starts, we don't want to expand the conditions at this moment. Maybe not ever, but if it's necessary in the future, then we'll do it in the future, but not before we get up and running. The fourth thing, which Senator West is going to talk more about when I conclude, is we preserve the local opt-out for the local governments, and so he'll speak more about that. The fifth thing is we doubled down and we made very clear that there's no use in the public. There's obviously no smoking in this bill at all, but if you're going to use it in other ways, you can't be using it in public transportation on the sidewalk and that kind of thing. So you can just no administration of the medication in public if there's vaping or something of that nature. The sixth thing, and this is something that I didn't understand was really in the bill. I should have understood it more. And that is that we had a provisional registration. So if somebody says, look, I want to apply to get a card, while they were waiting to get their card, they were eligible to get product. And we looked at that and we thought, well, that was an oversight. That shouldn't be, because the person actually hasn't been approved yet. So we're saying now there's no provisional registrant that can get the access to the product. They have to be fully approved before they're able to do that. Next is we prioritize Kentucky hemp businesses that are licensed with the Kentucky Department of Agriculture. They've already shown that they're properly capitalized and that they follow the rules appropriately. And so we're giving them a front of the line status when it comes to giving licenses here. Next is we spell out the rights and the responsibilities of the Office of Medical Cannabis to enter and inspect properties, kind of like if you guys know how we do it in the ABC world. If you get a liquor license, you are saying to ABC, you can come in at any time. You don't need a subpoena, so the ABC can come in and make sure that all the rules are being followed. Similarly here, if you get a license, whether you're a grower or a dispensary, the Office of Medical Cannabis can come in at any time unannounced and make sure that all the rules are being followed. So we wanted to make sure that was spelled out. We thought it was implicit in the bill, and I think it was, but we wanted to make sure that we spelled that out. That's also a request by the governor that the senator and I agree with. And last thing I wanted to mention was the licenses. Right now, the program is starting on January 1st, 2025. But that didn't enable us to get ready, grow the material, the raw plants and so forth. And so what we're doing here is we're allowing by January 1st, 2024, licenses to be granted. Very important to note, dispensaries can get a license to get up and running, get prepared. They may not open at all until obviously the program begins January 1st, 2025. So we think this is a way to administer the program that the Senate and the House passed last year. And to improve it in various ways, tighten it up, tidy it up, and we hopefully we can earn enough votes to get through this committee and the Senate, and with the leaders' vote, I think we can. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'll chime in just a little bit, Mr. Chairman, but first I'd like to thank the bill drafter, Chris Joffrion's here today. If you have any in-the-weed questions, we can bring him up to answer those, but this is a 139-page sub. He's been working on this for 5 years, so we have an expert behind us if you have any in-the-weeds questions. The big thing that this does, the sub does, is carry out SB 47 that we passed last year. This is the bill that's used to implement SB 47. And as Representative Nemes stated, one of the big things that it does is it preserves the right of local governments to opt out. We allow licensing earlier in July, but all those licenses are subject to local ordinances or elections. So if a government has an election or ordinance and someone has been licensed, then they've made a bad business decision. And everyone should know, if you get licensed and get set up before this time, you're taking a bit of a risk. But it does allow these businesses, the growers especially, to get up and running, start growing product, so there's actually something there to sell January 1st. And so that's a key provision. We also added a pharmacist to the Board of Advisors. There was a lot of pharmacy talk in the House, and so most of that's been stripped out, but we did keep in a provision that allows a pharmacist to be on the Board of Advisors. And just another important point, we've met with, as far as I know, all interested groups throughout the session. Met with KLC, met with KCO, met with CAM, other interested parties, and as far as I can tell, we've addressed all their concerns through the session. So if there are no further questions, we would urge for favorable expression, Mr. Chairman.
We have several questions here lined up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So here we are, the last bill in the last committee meeting in my last session, and it's a pot bill.
Medical. Always use the adjective, medical.
Whatever. I could have done without having to vote on another marijuana bill before I leave, but your persistence is paying off. I did everything I could to try to kill this bill, and then I kept it alive for the last 2 days. I was hoping I wouldn't have to deal with this again because it doesn't have an implementation date until next year, but dagnabbit, here we are. I read through the bill, and I appreciate the fact that you did not add any further afflictions that could be remedied by the use of medical marijuana. I appreciate that. I think that would have gone against the legislative intent
Yes.
of the deal we cut last year that convinced recalcitrant members like me to vote for the bill. Could you tell me a little more about the local government opt-out and what that entails?
You got to hear me.
It's fairly simple. You have the locals can decide whatever they want to do on this. So either by ordinance or election, that they can call for an election in November and say, as a community, we don't want this in our community, and they have the right to do that. And so either ordinance or election, they're allowed to stop this in its tracks if they want to. Now, after this year, they can still do that. However, if you have an entity that's been licensed in that jurisdiction, they're pretty much grandfathered in. So you can't, as a business owner, I go to get a license, I'm licensed, it's legal. Counties and cities have a year to get this done. If they don't get it done, they can still do that in the future, but you can't pull the rug out from under those businesses who invested possibly millions of dollars into that business.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman?
And that's section 13 of the bill.
No, I saw it. I just wanted you to illuminate it for me a little bit. So it's almost like a local wet dry vote.
Yes.
Well, and I'm glad I think that's a really good step.
And that was in the original SB 47, by the way. This is all just a
The
continuation.
school opt-out is new
That
language.
is new. That is new.
I made a commitment to get votes in the House that we'd come back and do that. And so that we're honoring our commitments.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, again, this issue does not thrill me, but out of respect for the two men in front of me who, when they get into an issue, they don't let go, and they wrestle it to the ground. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that House Bill 829 be reported favorably. Motion same shall pass.
Motion from Senator Thayer, second by Senator Demus. We still have several other folks that need want to ask questions. Senator Harper.
Motion includes committees up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Nemus, do you have any idea how long the approval process will take?
I do not. The executive branch is putting the regulations together now. They have several that are already on the books that are online for the public to see. They're getting more. I don't know how long it would take, but I don't think it would take any longer than the normal license process for a surgery center or anything else would take.
I'm
But
not
that's
talk-
one reason that we've moved it up till July 1st, 2024, where they can start to give licenses, although you can't open to the public yet.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman. I'm not talking about the licenses. I'm talking about the individual has to go through the application and process time. Wondering how long that will take.
So what I've been told is obviously I think the applications will come in. This will be largely a regulatory question, but the applications will come in, and if it's something of an end of life in a very serious emergency matter, that will be on an expedited process. But the regular ones, I'm told, will take between 30 days and 45 days. But I think there'll be an expedited process for something terminal end of life kind of thing.
If I could follow up, Mr. Chairman, to answer Senator's question. This bill sets up the Office of Medical Cannabis, and a lot of these questions you're asking will be addressed in regulations. And some of those regulations are forthcoming. Some of them aren't there yet, but they you'll have to pay attention to those regulations as they move forward, and that should answer a lot of those questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, guys, I want to focus specifically on the section about Kentucky-based businesses that are already hemp businesses receiving preference, because unfortunately, the term that was used was they've proven their financial abilities or whatever. But this requires them to be in good standing with the Department of Agriculture. What comes to my mind is Gincana. And I remember prior to their bankruptcy filing that I may have ended in a debtor in possession. They burned a lot of contractors and farmers in West Kentucky. I believe they were taken over by maybe even an international corporation, which technically maintains a Winchester-based headquarters. But they could be in bad standing with the Kentucky Secretary of State and possibly even have liens against properties that they own for unpaid contractors and yet be put to the front of the line in this process. I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong, but that's how I see this.
Well, I think so. Obviously, there are going to be licensees that are in good standing that shouldn't stay there. But the thought process here was, if you're a licensee, a hemp licensee in Kentucky, you've already proven maybe you've done things that should have that removed, but you've proven that you follow the rules and that you're properly capitalized and so forth. And also, there was a lot of, in my mind anyway, let me just speak for myself, there was a little bit of, a lot of these Kentucky farmers who got into this were hoodwinked and mistreated and bad things happen. And to the extent they want to get involved in this, we want them to benefit. Obviously, it has to be Kentucky businesses, but we want them to benefit first. And so that was, in my speaking just for myself. Now, bad actors, hopefully the Department of Agriculture will remove the license. And again, this is that they get considered first. It's not automatic that they get the license. It's that they get put the front of the line. And by the way, that's on page 32 of the sub.
If I could follow up, Mr. Chairman, as Representative Demas stated, people came to us seeking this in here to help Kentucky farmers, basically. And with the implosion of the hemp business and all that occurred, the ultimate goal was let's not favor out-of-state businesses. Let's try to help these guys. Let's try to help our Kentucky farmers and make sure a lot of this product is grown in the state. To your point, I can't say that you're wrong, but it will be kind of up to the Commissioner of Agriculture to define, what is a good standing. So they need to tighten that definition, I think, and make sure that they're policing who is in good standing technically and who is not.
And I'm not in disagreement with your sentiment of what you're trying to do with that, right? I think it's actually I think the sentiment is very, very good. I think the practical application could put a major international corporation, or an international corporation, major might be wrong, who's burned a lot of Kentucky-based businesses previously at the front of the line for the applications, and that's why my concern there. Right, I'm in complete alignment with your sentiment. I think it's wonderful, but that's where my concern comes from in that. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's our final question, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairman. And I have just two briefly. One, I just wanted to say on the local control piece, I know Fayette County is working on their regulations right now, and they can be as specific as they want to be in terms of as narrow, defined, as long as they get it done before July 1st or January 1st.
January 1st.
January 1st. Mm-hmm. So the licensee could get a license to basically say, if we want to operate, they can, but only if they fit the regulations that have been codified essentially by that time.
Correct.
So they could change their ordinance over time. What we're saying is, if there's a licensee that's been approved in Fayette County, for example, if Fayette County then decides to get out of the program and no longer allow it in Fayette County, then the licensees that are already in Fayette County would be grandfathered in. But they can change the administrative rules if they wish. Obviously, fees would go up over time just because they go up over time. Sure. 30 years from now, the fee probably won't be the same as it's originally established. But so the January 1st date is important because that's That's the safe harbor, if you will, for the city. So a licensee could get a license in July of 2024. And because we've said if you get a license, you're grandfathered in, we've also added a provision in here and said, except for those 6 months, we're allowing the local governments to opt out. And then even though normally you have your grandfathered in, you don't for those 6 months. So does that make sense?
It does. I guess I was thinking if a company has a license for, yes, I can do this, but the locality decides where in which they can be, that might put them in a precarious situation if the regulations ends up being a specific location. Does that make sense?
And local governments have the right for zoning. Yes,
Yeah.
they can do that.
Okay.
An important point to make here is there's a big difference between getting your license and setting up shop.
Okay, that's
So just because you get your license in July, as bureaucracy works, I mean, it's going to take several months to check into the property, locate it, work with the city. So you got 2 or 3 months there where you're not even you won't begin to start construction on anything. So
okay. Thank you for
it's
that.
not as far off as you might think.
And the local zoning portion is on page 34.
Motion on the bill.
One more thing.
Oh,
Think
you
she's
already-
got-
sorry.
We already have a motion and a second. I just have one other question. This is kind of a citizen-oriented question as the sponsors of the bill. So you're telling us that there will not be any smoking, there will not be any smell of marijuana.
Got it.
Oh, got it. There will not be any smell of marijuana coming out of people's cars. And if that leads to this, how does a citizen report that? How do they react to that?
Yeah, I want to be really clear. If you're smoking, you'll lose your license, your card, and you will go to jail. You should go to jail until the law changes, and I wouldn't support a change in the law on that. It's illegal. You cannot smoke in this. This is not a wink, wink, nod, nod, move to recreational. Right. This is to help people who need to be helped. If you're smoking, you won't only lose your card, you should go to jail. It is still a felony in Kentucky to do that.
Very good. I just wanted that on the record for everybody to know that. So, any other questions for the gentleman before us? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator Mays Bledsoe.
May I explain my vote?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to mention 2 things. I really appreciate you coming back to the table with schools and allowing schools to opt out, allowing parents to do that and not requiring a nurse to do it on their behalf if they have a conscience. So I appreciate all of that intentionality and promise of coming back and doing that. And 2, I appreciate the vaping clause because I think that was the other concern that I heard about from a lot of people were those 2 or 3 things. So I want to say aye, and I appreciate your support.
Senator McDaniel.
Cast my vote and explain.
Yes, you may.
Guys, I'm going to vote no. Everything that you've done goes further towards tightening this up the way it should be. Until I can feel a little more comfort that we're not advantaging folks who may have previously taken advantage of other Kentucky-based businesses. That's just where I'm at. So thank you for what you've done. By and large, it's good. That's where I'm at. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Nemes.
I'd like to explain my aye vote.
Yes, you may.
This will be the last committee meeting that I will see my biological son and my adopted son committee meeting. And I love both of their tenacity, as everyone knows, and for them to come together after fighting and screaming and arguing about issues, it is amazing to me, and I have to have pride in this. So
You can adopt him as long as he's not in the will.
Well, you may not be either.
That's even better.
Senator Storm. Senator Thayer.
I'd like to explain my vote, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
you can.
As I did last year on the original bill, I'm going to cast a reluctant yes. You know I don't love this issue, and I'm glad I'm not going to be around here to deal with anything else that comes down the pike. I hope that future General Assemblies will resist the temptation to consider adding smoking on medical cannabis, and especially hope that the temptation to pass recreational marijuana is avoided here in Kentucky. Just because other states are doing it and getting lots of tax revenue from it, it's a high price to pay. It's a high price to pay. And I hope that when this bill is implemented, that it does live up to its intent to help people with these afflictions. where other more modern medicines don't seem to be helping them. And so it's for them that I cast this aye vote. And I appreciate the two of you and the great work you've ever done. And to your father, I can't remember us screaming and yelling. I can remember some very direct conversations, but I don't know that I've ever raised my voice with you.
I've got broad shoulders. It wouldn't matter if you did.
Thank you. I vote aye.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Senator Williams. Senator Mills.
I want to explain my aye vote. I did not support the original bill, but I think this is good government. If we're going to have it, if the intent is there, the legislative intent is there, then we need to set up and have good government around it. And I appreciate the work that y'all have done and the communication that you've done with all the interest groups, especially the local government groups. So I want to echo what Senator Thayer said. I plan to be here for at least 2 more years, and I don't want to see this expand. But I do believe that the folks that have ailments that have done a great job of getting around and lobbying for this bill deserve to be heard and deserve to see if this works for them. So I vote aye. House Bill 829 passes with favorable expression 8-1. And there is also a title amendment. Is there a motion on the title amendment? We have a motion and a second on the title amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The title amendment passes as well. Gentlemen, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Appreciate it.
This ends our committee meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion to adjourn from Senator Thayer, second from Senator Nemus. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank y'all.